Hello, I'm John Amuedo. This is Felix Robles. Probably know Felix. I was a judo student of Carl's from about age 13. I'm 63 now. A while. But I had the good fortune to be a part of a group that Carl took to Japan in 1970. Took a dozen students, all I'd say competitors between about the age of 13 and 24. Jim Woolley was on that trip, Bill Sanford. Bill Johnson wasn't there. So it was a life-changing experience for me. Well, one of the life-changing things was encountering these old guys in their 70s and 80s. Judo, which was a level above anything that we had experienced, and it was these old men that would toss you around, and the feeling was you're getting sucked up into this vortex. You didn't feel any off balance. If you started walking a direction, they were already standing there. All of a sudden the room started moving. You didn't feel your body being manipulated, and so you were spinning around and you landed somewhere in a strange position you hadn't fallen in before, and you got up and you're not sure how you got there. And so it made me realize years later there was a level of judo that it's possible to achieve that these guys had. And one teacher in particular, Yoshimi Osawa, who was one of Carl's primary teachers, would come into the Kodokan about 4 o'clock in the afternoon and just work with us, toss us around. And at that age, we had no idea who this guy was. It turned out he had been an All-Japan champion twice. And I found out years later he was exactly my size now, about 5'7", 145 pounds. And so I thought I should go to school on this guy and find out, because his judo was ready-made for my body type. And so that's turned into a kind of lifelong journey to figure out, to try to reverse engineer what this guy was doing, because he was famous for Ashiwaza, but as a competitor he was a very versatile player. He had a dozen techniques that he used, while the rest of the guys in his class would maybe have three throws. And years later, Felix, my teaching partner in Los Angeles, Leslie Allard, and I have been researching this question of how you take control of your opponent's walking. And so we started to discover things about it and have come up with a way of classifying the kind of disturbances that Osawa would make to the walking cycle of his opponent to make these foot sweeps seem effortless. And we're trying to document that. In the process, discovered a few new sort of methods, variations on what I guess he had developed. So what I wanted to cover today were there were 3 classical methods for disturbing your opponent's walking in a way that they really create an artificial attack, which then he has to exert energy in a direction which you can use. In thinking about it, there are kind of 2 naive strategies for both in self-defense and competitive judo and in warfare. The sitting duck strategy is to train yourself to develop a repertoire of responses to new situations, and then you're in place in a situation of practice or self-defense, and you're on the fly going to select a strategy that's most appropriate to the kind of attack. Well, you're still in a disadvantage in that situation, and it's the kind of entirely passive approach to this, where it's really an Aikido sort of frame of mind, where you're fending an attack, and you have really no control over this opponent. we're going to call the opponent Aite, which means attacker, as opposed to Uke. Uke in Judo has this entirely passive kind of sense to it. And really, in the kind of Judo that, in particular, Nick's interested in, I'm interested in, it's being championed by a guy named Tadayuki Sato at Waseda, who's professor of Aikido there now. He has a Judo system he calls Fuko Judo, which means Renaissance Judo. And it's all attack-based. It's all the, the result of it, like kata, accepting an attack from an attacker. So we began to move to a terminology that doesn't use the word uke, which is this, where there's really aite, which is the attacker. And what we found was that where there were 3 standard ways Sawa used of manipulating your balance and in a sense creating an artificial attack that then directed energy in a way that he could use. And so the 3 we could call Tsukite, which is a term from Kendo, which means to poke. And it's basically, we assume we're in a what amounts to an invisible gi kind of defense, which means if he's moving around, I'm matching feet with him, he goes a direction, and I've got a very light grip. I'm not really applying any extraneous forces to him, and so he's going to feel most comfortable, least threatened walking backwards. And as he walks backwards, right as that back foot touches, in this Tsukite kind of touch involves palm down on his chest. I'm holding at my shoulder level, and I just make a touch relax movement on his back foot. And what it'll do is he's retreating. It'll cause him to all of a sudden stop, and his whole body will waver. His head will come this way and come forward. And now I've got him stepping into me in a way that I can use. And so the second is a high elbow pull. So this is what going back touch. The next thing that might happen in a variety of throws, the one I'm going to use is Ouchigari. It's the simplest. Is after I relax, he starts to come forward, and as I do, I simply make a high elbow pull while his leg is in the air. And this, the second is called Sarite, which means to fish. And you can practice it. So I touch him, and at that moment I pre-stretch the gi, so I take the slack out of the gi. So I'm not doing this to him. All right? So I touch him palms down, and then I pre-stretch the gi, and I start my pull with a high elbow. The high elbow prevents any downward component in the pull. So if I grab him from here and try this, he's going to short step. All right. So I want to use this grip from my shoulder level, touch, and it's as if I have a fish. It's almost a fly fishing term. I have him at the end of this line, and I start him coming into me. I've got a very nice opportunity to do an ochi. Touch. Okay. So that covers 2 of the 3 cases. The third case comes from the hikite, the sleeve side, and that while the combination of the tsukite covers the case of he's retreating comfortably backward, and I touch him and get him to come moving forward. The hikite case covers a guy that's not afraid to walk into me, and so right when this foot hits, I give a little pull with the elbow. And the equivalent of pre-stretching the gi here is take up slack in the gi at the elbow and rotate it by about 45 degrees. So I'm connected to him. I'm not just rattling his gi. Okay? So he's walking toward me, touch, and that makes him start to step back. I have a perfect opening for a dash and brai. The simpler timing of the 2. And we'll look at both cases. It also provides another entry for Osawa's Ouchigari, where he's coming forward, touching, I float out on this line, okay, and it's a really elegant kind of Ouchigari. He steps forward, I use the Hikite pull, and his next step is going to be to step back there. My targets end up is there on the line. So I float with him, he steps forward, I float with him and drop him right there. And we came up with some little drills to help learn this. For the Sakite, I walk him backwards, and all I do is just touch, and then he walks me backwards and touches me there. Okay, so I want you to try this. Just the touch, and this is pure palm down, touch, relax, no pull yet. Okay? So grab a partner and just do this for a minute or two. Touch, take 2 or 3 steps back. Okay. And you can start experimenting with the timing of the touch. There's sort of 3 cases, and they have different applications. If you hit him early, that is right before the foot hits, you get an immediate response. So if you're weaving between the perpendicular and the line, all right, this is a perfect time to move from one to the other. So the direction of this is down the line, ideally. The moment his foot hits, all his energy is going out there. Okay? So that's where I want to aim the touch. I walk him backward here, and if I touch him early, get an immediate reaction. So I've got a easy roller. I've moved from a throw that threatens his line to a throw that threatens his perpendicular. If I hit him on the foot, sort of where he goes flat, he'll take a little longer to react. Yeah. So in any technique where I need to introduce a reorientation of my body, like for Sode, the later I hit him, the better. In fact, for Sode, if I walk him backwards, I let him hit, he'll see him start transferring weight to his heel, and I give the touch there. I have plenty of time to throw him. All right? So do this little cooperative drill with each other and start touching him. The only thing to pay attention to is just the back foot when the foot hits the mat, and this little palm down touch. And I'll come around and help you if you want to feel it and play with it. Sweet. All right? You good? Sweet. Good. Let's relax. Make sure to keep your palm on his chest. Good. All right, so the next thing to try is you step into him and bring your weight onto your right foot. Touch, and as it goes by, you just drop him. And to do that, you draw a circle and keep your big toe on the mat. All right? Sure.
The term tsurikomi, lots of folks have always defined that, at least translated in English, as lift pull.
Yes.
Just out of my own curiosity, I went to online translation, found the actual kanji.
Right.
And the original kanji refers to angling, fishing.
That's the suri part.
Yeah. And
suri.
Because you had mentioned that little fishing thing.
Right. Sure. So make sure you're holding at shoulder level. Your shoulder level, not his. So if you go to YouTube, search Osawa Judo, you'll see about 7 or 8 videos that Osawa shot in the mid-'80s, and he has the uke he has immediately starts walking in step with him, and he's walking backwards. Okay, so he's giving the guy the most comfortable, the least threatening kind of dynamic to start this thing. So if he's already coming forward, this is a good opportunity to just practice the second form, which is the high elbow pull. So if he's coming toward me, all I do is leave the foot there and pull. All right? So if he is so cooperative, this doesn't bother him. Right when the foot leaves the ground, give this pull. All right, and this is a good moving uchikomi drill. You have a moving uchikomi time in your workout. Okay, I can just threaten the heel by just tapping it. He's walking forward, no touch whatsoever, just this high elbow pull. Okay, so try that. The guy's already walking forward. Just leave the foot in place and give this high elbow pull, and the leg will sweep right by. You don't have to dig for it. It'll come by and you just knock it out of the way. All right, try that. An activity where it's often advantageous to be late. Okay, waiting for him to react, waiting for him to move with you. All right, so probably the most useful immediate application of this to foot sweeps is going to be this hikite pull on the elbow, and while the surite pull is to get him, if he's walking backward, to get him to come forward and attack you. Okay, this is he's walking toward me, and right when the foot hits, I give a little bit of force to his body right down the line. Okay, and you could do this in one step. All right, and it's good preparation for ukiyo-toshi here, but he'll start to come back, and as he does, that's my opening for dashi barai, the simple timing. All right, so have him walk toward you. Tighten the gi a little bit before you make this pull, so you're not doing this. Okay, just by rotating your wrist. You can almost get him to float right there. Okay, give that a try. Touch the tsukite to show you the other foot sweep timing, the other dashi barai timing. And so here in this classical form of the touch, my palm is on his chest. I walk him backwards here, and I'm going to use the same high elbow movement I used by stringing him out on the fishing line, but I'm going to step right next to this foot here. All right? Boom. And when I give that pull, he takes a big step with that left foot. But the one I want is his other foot, because he's going to have to match it. Okay? So I'm going to walk him backwards, string him out on the line, step here. Okay? Palm down, your own shoulder level. Touch, string him out. Okay, and the key points are, when you make this step, make sure if his foot's there, you end up exactly 90 degrees, and just the act of stepping on the line is going to take him in a circle if you have this elbow's in the right place. The other thing that's essential, you know that drill we did where you at the wall and you turn out at the hip 90 degrees, is to turn out at the hip and this foot points that way. Okay? You want to free up this leg so you don't get a collision with your own foot. All right, so walking him back, touch. Okay, so walk through it slowly. Here, boom, boom, touch. String him out on the line, step 90 degrees, and this foot is now going to point toward that wall. Okay, give it a try. You got the most cooperative mat in the world for practicing this drill.
Yeah.
The next day or two, with these 3 different forms of this touch, off balance, I'm going to look at 3 alternatives to these tomorrow that have some new, features. The last thing I'll leave you with is his Osawa's Ouchigari. which is for practicing. It's the best application I know for practicing this hikite pull. He steps forward, and he's walking, and I'm trying to get him to change his direction to moving backward, okay? And what I'm going to do, I'm measuring with my eye a line through his little toes, and that's my target. So I give the pull, I relax, and I end up here, okay? With the high elbow pull, that brings him toward me, right over my hip. No, the only way we would practice Ouchi and Koichi, if you stand square, Tori would be doing in a line Uchikomi all the work. He'd be doing this, and he'd be doing this, and against an immovable object. It makes no sense at all, okay? So in this case, touch, float out on that line, and take him straight down. And he does float, does he not? Boom, boom, boom. Touch, float. Okay? And he's coming toward you. He's handing you his foot to do something with, and so all you do is knock it out. All right? Couldn't be simpler. Getting out there to the other line, at first you think and you go, whoa, that's physically impossible. But the way to do it is to float while he's in the air. Touch, float way out here, and drop him there. Okay? Give that a try for a few minutes, and we'll work on these new developments tomorrow.